It's always a good time when you beat Kentucky, my guy. All right, let's get into it. All right. Tennessee hangs a freaking 100 in Rupp Arena. First time that's ever been done, I believe. In like the history of the series. Am I wrong on that? I feel like I've heard that before.
In Rupp, yes, I do believe Kentucky got to 100 a couple years ago, but I could be wrong on that.
No. I'm saying in Rupp, Tennessee scored 100 for the first time ever in like school history.
Yeah, I think that is right. But a fantastic game all the way around for Tennessee. What are your opening thoughts on this one, man?
Didn't he dunk connect?
Exactly.
You had your game where Kentucky planned for Dalton Connect, and he still had a game. Don't get me wrong, but he didn't throw up that 30 that everybody was thinking he would. And in fact, both the star players for each team really didn't have the best of games for either team. But we've been asking for the team to step up. I think Rick Barnes, got in there. Hey, double, you know what? After that South Carolina game because it was ugly. But, man, they stepped up in a big way. Missy Jones tunes in from Facebook. Hey, how are you doing? Sean from YouTube, the game last night, been the only one I've been able to catch, and that was absolute. Well, dude, we are the best team in the country to you then if that's the only game you've watched was that Kentucky game. My God. Yeah, dude, that was such a big game. Don't Connect didn't have that takeover game that everybody was kind of expecting him to have. But one thing I would say, and I think the biggest difference in the game is our inbound offense is insane.
Oh, Rick Barnes is one of the best coaches in the country whenever it comes to drawing up those inbounds plays.
It's so good. And then, like the commentators were so confused because I think literally half of Dalton Connect's points are from the inbound pass, like straight pass, catch, shoot. And he did that at the rim like 2 or 3 times. And then they defend that. Then he catches it at the 3 and shoots a 3 and knocks it in. I'm just like, man, you can't stop it. Like, and that's such a good feeling to have, especially on the road when you know you got a guy that can catch it from the inbounds and just not miss. But one thing that's really underrated, nobody talks about it enough, is how good our passers are. I mean, we've got quarterbacks at every position that can literally put that ball exactly where it needs to be for a guy to make the shot. Like I think we did like 2 alley oops. That's cool to see. I mean, because that's a teammate trusting another teammate. And like Estrella was one of them, and he's not even a starter. But Estrella threw it up to Jordan James, I believe, and I mean he just that was a good play.
That was a Cameron Carr. That was on that.
Oh, my bad, my fault.
Yeah. That was on that play. Reed Shepard got a steal off of Vescovy. Vescovy got it back. He dives on the floor, gets it to Carr, and then Carr just lobs it up to James at the basket. Just a fantastic series of events right there. But, man, these two teams were lights out from the opening tap. I mean, they jumped. It was very fun. Very fun. And, Tennessee jumped out. Kentucky brought it back close. And that's how it went the entire game was Tennessee would jump out a little bit, and then Kentucky would bring it back. Tennessee would jump back. And my favorite stat on this box score right here.
I know you're going to say it. Go ahead. Go ahead. Say it. I wanted to say it, but you go ahead.
Kentucky did not lead in this game.
I wasn't going to say that, actually. Okay, fair enough. No, never a doubt, dude. Never a doubt. Somebody posted, was like, man, if I had a nickel for every second that Kentucky led, I'd be broke. I was like, you'd probably be broke anyways. But no. So my favorite stat is that every starter on our team had double digits scoring.
Yeah, that was awesome. You had
Jordan, go ahead. Triple J, bro.
Finally, man.
Unlocked the I don't know what he did. He ate the Wheaties, bro. But he started shooting, and my man was making them. I mean, he shot 9 of 18 from the field, 50%. That was 4 of 9 from 3-point. He was 4 of 4 at the free throw line. And he got a lot of rebounds, much needed rebounds. I mean, the second chance points in that game were second to none. I know it had to have been frustrating for Kentucky. I mean, that was when the quadruple technical foul, which I think was kind of bullcrap because they called one on Jordan Gainey for clapping, I guess. That was all because we kept getting the offensive rebounds. And it was really pissing off Kentucky. And once you get in somebody's, mind like that, when you start playing mind games, and I just love that Rick Barnes was there for it. I mean, Rick Barnes could have, really got into Toby Awaka, benched him, whatever, but he didn't. He actually supported the guys during that moment. And I don't feel like Tennessee players really did anything wrong. That was kind of a cheap shove by the Kentucky player right there, number 2. I can't remember his last name. But it was a pretty cheap shove over nothing. I mean, the guys were just fighting over the ball. And but Toby Awaka really didn't do anything. He just he stood his ground. That's all he did. And but regardless, I love to see that cheapiness. I mean, that's what the rivalry is all about right there. And no, man, that's what a game. I mean, that if that's what we can do, now that's something you're not going to be able to replicate week in and week out. But if we can click like that in March, Final Four is there. Absolutely. Final Four is there.
Absolutely, at the very least.
Because we were talking with Jay Hayes, which shout out to Jay Hayes for joining us last week. I mean, we were talking about depth. We were talking about foul trouble. Foul trouble got into Kentucky a little bit. And they already had a guy that I guess didn't play. I think his name was TJ. I don't remember his name.
DJ Wagner.
DJ Wagner. He didn't play. I guess it was a sickness or something like that.
And he also had that the Big Z. That's what they call him. I don't know how you say his name. Jay said he struggles with it as well. He also did not play. He's been dealing with some sickness or whatever. So those are 2 big key players that Kentucky did not even have last night, and it did show.
Which I know Jay wasn't counting on that because he knew, or he thought that they were going to have those players ready to go, which is why you would have thought the bench wouldn't have been that big of a deal. But when you lose those 2 guys for Kentucky, that does make that does thin out the lineup a little bit. And I'm not taking away anything from what Tennessee did, but it was very special. Jade joins us on Facebook. Let's go, boy. Yes, ma'am. It was such a big game for Tennessee. I think for confidence sake. I mean, let's be honest, one of those 2 teams were going 0-2 for the week, and in a conference where you can't do that. And it feels good to be on the right side of this. I would like to give myself a bone and say I was the only one that called that we were going to win at Rupp Arena last week. But I did go ahead and say that we were probably going to lose the season finale. But right now I'm 1 for 1, so we're going to keep it like that. I hope to be 1 for 2, honestly. But no, big game. And what I guess surprised you the most in this?
What surprised me was, Jay also mentioned when we talked last week, when it gets, if this game was to get into an up and down, fast paced game, he felt that Kentucky had the advantage. And honestly, for the most part, I felt the same way. I thought Kentucky would have that advantage. And Tennessee said, okay, you want to play that pace? We'll play right back with you. And it was just fast paced the entire way. How well Tennessee played that type of game yesterday is what impressed me in the game. But believe it or not, with how fast paced it was, there was only a total of 13 fast break points in the game. Kentucky had 9 and Tennessee had 4.
I got to give credit to the defenses on that because they were getting back. Anytime somebody would get get a turnover or something, they'd chuck it up the field. I mean, what about that block by Adu?
Oh man,
right at the rim.
That was something else.
That was
dirty. But Kentucky has some good blocks too.
You saw
the
Don Connect got freaking rejected. Yeah, he got absolutely rejected. So I mean, I give a ton of credit on one defense that's known for being good. Kentucky defense really struggled this year, but they did really good in transition. I'll give them credit for that. And that's why you only seen less than 10 points each for each team on transition. And in a game where you would think transition's literally a quarter of the points because of how fast they were going back and forth.
Yeah, absolutely.
No, that's.
But you mentioned earlier how both of the star players in this game, they were kind of quiet compared to what they have been, and you're 100% correct. But I do credit that to both teams' defenses. Antonio Reeves, he had 21 points on the night, which I didn't really feel like he had that many. It was a very quiet 21, but I guess it's because a lot of his makes were around the basket. He only shot 1 for 5 from the 3-point line. He
started 0-3. He started 0-3 from the 3-point line, right?
Yeah.
In the first half.
Yeah.
A lot of his points came in the second half where he was getting inside, getting those kind of easy buckets. We had some defensive miscues, but when You're going back and forth like that. Kentucky had their fair share too, where Ziegler's just getting to the rim really easily.
Yeah, and then you had Dalton Connect. He had 16. He was 5 of 14 from the field, 1 of 5 from the three-point line as well. He was 5 of 5 from the line. So, both of these teams, they had their star players not have their best performances. But, man, I've got to give a shout-out to Rob Dillingham, man. He
6
was
of 8
unconscious.
From the 3-point line, dude. 6 of 8. Why did he stop shooting? Like, I mean, with those odds, brother, you just keep pulling. I mean,
well, he got in foul trouble. He actually ended up fouling out with about 2 or 3 minutes left to go in the game.
But that's not what really. So what hurt him is not necessarily fouling out at the end of the game. It's where he picked up the 4th foul with like 13 minutes left to go in the game, and then he had to sit until like the 8-minute mark where he got to come back in. That I think hurt Kentucky more than anything. And I asked, I said, I felt like foul trouble was going to be an issue just because it's a rivalry, right? Referees are going to do whatever they need to do to make sure things don't escalate. And so they're probably going to call some bogus calls just to keep everybody at bay. And I think that quadruple tech is one of those where I felt like maybe 3 people got techs that probably shouldn't have, but they did that on purpose to just, tell people, hey, chill out, because they actually even counted those as personal fouls. And that's why Rob Dillingham, I think, got into foul trouble. I think he was one of them.
Yeah, technical fouls also count as personals.
Yeah. But that was the difference in the game, I think, more than anything. But
I've got to give a shout out to one person that we have not even talked about in this game yet. We talked about him in South Carolina, Zakai Ziegler.
Yeah.
And I called it before the game. I said, Zakai Ziegler is going to have a breakout game this game because of how bad he played against South Carolina. And boy, did he have a breakout game. 26 points, 13 assists. He was 8 of 11 from the field, 3 of 6 from the three-point line. So all 3 of his misses were from the three-point line. And then he shot 7 of 10 from the free throw line. And, 2 of his 26 points, that one possession where he had to just catch and shoot real quick right before the shot clock expired. I mean, he was on a different level last night.
In a game where you make 12 3-pointers and Dalton Connect only has 1.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's crazy, dude. Like, you had Ziegler go 3 of 6, right? Vescovi, 3 of 4. My guy, come on now. And then Triple J go 4 of 9 from 3-point line. That, like I said, that's something that's going to be hard to replicate. But, man, if we can figure out how to do that, if we can have all 5 of our guys chipping in 10 points a game plus, holy moly. Like, sign me up. I'm ready. Like, put us in March. I'm ready to go. I mean, that's awesome, dude. And I will say this: Gainey didn't have a lot of points, but the dude was a difference maker. He played. The dude was a difference maker on the court. Like, you knew when he was out there, and he did it early. I think he got his 5 points like within the first, 3 minutes of the game. I mean, I was like, oh man, this guy's about to pop off. But then the other guy stepped up. So,
and him and Owaka both, because you mentioned Owaka in the South Carolina game, how he stepped up. He only played 10 minutes in the game yesterday, but the minutes that he played were huge. And it was like every single rebound that was out there whenever he was in the game, he was getting. And that's what led to the little altercation over there that the 4 technicals were called. He went and got that rebound, and he was just pivoting, trying to find a guy to get it to. And Kentucky is just sitting there trying to rip it away from him. And he's like, no, you're not taking this ball from me. And I actually have a tweet I want to read out real quick. I won't put it I won't put it on the screen share, but Wes Rucker from 247 Sports, he goes, a very Zakai Ziegler moment in the press conference. He said he laughed during the Tobe Awaka versus Kentucky's entire roster scrum because he's tried to get Awaka that mad before in practice and couldn't do it. So,
which is surprising because I feel like Tobe Awaka would be high strung, right?
He kind of seems like that kind of guy, but apparently he's a really very chill guy.
Well, then that's probably a full circle moment with the team then, because they're like, man, there it is. finally, right? And so, you know what? That's probably one of the coolest moments as teammates you probably ever have during a game is when you finally see the potential in a player come out, right? Like
Yeah, absolutely.
you've been working on it all season for multiple years, whatever, and then to see it happen right in the middle of a game, and like you know in that moment, all the players are like, "There it is. That's what we've been needing." Like that's probably a really cool full circle moment, and that is kind of. I wish I would have heard that in the press conference. I might have to look it up and go look at that.
Yeah, but I do want to pull this comment back up real quick that Right to Vape put that Cameron Cardew is going to be special. Yeah, y'all have heard me talk about Jemai Meshack is my guy. That's my favorite player on this team. I'm excited about this Cameron Carr guy. Though.
Hey,
He hadn't got a lot of minutes here lately, just as a freshman, but he's going to be something special. He's very athletic as well.
I'm glad he got some playing time in a game like that too, right?
Yeah.
Because how often do we see it in football where like a freshman doesn't get a ton of playing time? And they leave or whatever. It's good when you got a guy with that type of potential get in a game like that, even for a few minutes, and he delivered like that pass that I was telling you about, bro. Like that was QBR rating 99, dude. Like that was solid, and that's what allows these guys to go out there and have some fun and make some big plays, big momentum changing plays, right? I mean,
absolutely.
So no, big game, always a good day when you beat Kentucky, because I swear every year we beat them in football, they're like, wait till basketball, and then we send them back to the coal mines.